For my second video, I would like to visit with you guys about the alternative economic systems that were discussed in your textbook in Chapter 1. The book describes the three major economic systems as capitalism, socialism, and communism. But for most intents and purposes, the socialism and the communism descriptions are very, very similar. So I'm not going to talk about them separately. I'm just going to talk about them as if they're one. As you take a look at the economic systems, while they each have different pieces to them, the United States has a mixed economic system, meaning that we have some capitalism and some socialism in our system. If I had to venture a guess, I would say our system is probably 70% capitalism and 30% socialism. But let's go ahead and become more familiar with the terms. When we take a look at the capitalism, the Cap's commentary, one of the writers of the book, really brings out the idea of Adam Smith. Adam Smith, back in 1776, wrote a book called The Wealth of Nations. And the interesting piece about The Wealth of Nations is the idea of the invisible hand. And so what he has suggested is if you want a nation to grow and prosper, the best thing that you can do is let individuals do what they do best with their individual talents. Go on out and work and start to hustle and make things happen and keep the government out. Individuals that begin to hustle and start to fill a need for their citizens, well, the citizens will pay for that need. If you're doing something great, then people will begin to pay for that great value that you're bringing. And if the government stays out of it, it's even better. The free market system with voluntary transactions. You do something amazing, and because you're so darn amazing, the customers will go ahead and buy your product. Now, some people will suggest that maybe there should be some government involvement in economics. Now, Capps and Smith would not, but some folks may say, what happens if you have a firm that is not taking care of the environment? In their process of production, they're ruining the environment. Well, Smith might say, if the consumers were concerned about the environment, they very simply would not purchase that firm's product. If they're ruining the environment, just don't buy there. And if everybody didn't buy that firm's product, then that firm would go out of business and they would end their environmental, kind of disarray. And other firms would learn from the experience that people value the idea of this environmental impact that a firm could have. The challenge is, do people really value that environmental impact? I'll give you a different example. I have a friend that is not a big fan of Walmart. She feels that their hiring practices and some of the ways in their business model aren't appropriate, aren't good for America, so she refuses to go to Walmart. Well, the challenge is not many other people choose not to go to Walmart. And so the citizens are speaking in such a way that they appreciate the Walmart business model because they participate in the Walmart business model. When we take a look at Capps' thought, his bottom line is, you and I should be able to invent, to innovate, to do neat, fun things that have an impact on the citizens. And if you're really, really good at a business model, then as you gain, your gain in your business will result in gains for others. If you're really, really good at it, perhaps you're producing products cheaper than other folks can. If you're awesome at it, perhaps you are hiring other individuals and creating business opportunities for other employees in the community. So there's certainly some value to it. Now, I mentioned that I believe the United States is probably 70% capitalism and 30% socialism, and I think that is probably necessary. Let me give you an idea on why socialism might be necessary. Let's just say that you woke up in the middle of the night and you realized your house was on fire. So you grabbed your phone and you dialed 911. And you told the fire department, my house is on fire. If the fire department said, hey, fantastic, your house is on fire, we'll roll the trucks, just give me your credit card number. If you had to pay for the service of the fire department, that could kind of be a problem. And so we have some services in the United States that are more socialistic. Our taxes pay for them, and we enjoy them based on the fact that it may be more challenging to have the citizens create a system that would take care of issues like that. If there wasn't a fire department and your house was on fire, would you get onto the internet and Google who are the best fire putter-outers? While they may be out there, it seems like it's a more efficient system and maybe better for the citizens to have one that everybody participates in. And whether it's the fire or whether it is our military protection, the police, whether it is a SNAP program or the food stamps, some of the health care that we provide, there are some needs to make sure that we're able to take care of society in general. Now, when we look at an international front, one of the ways to consider this socialistic thought is through the distribution of wealth. And Guinea had a crazy mathematical formula that measured this inequality, this distribution of wealth. And if his coefficient, if his mathematical formula was a 0, that would suggest there was equality financially between all of the citizens. If it was 1, it would suggest there is a lot of disparity, that there's a lot of rich people and a lot of really poor people, and it was not very equal in the distribution of wealth. And lately, in the United States, you can see that the Gini coefficient is beginning to change, getting closer and closer to 1, not by a lot, but closer and closer to 1, suggesting that there is complete inequality. The challenge gets to be, how do you handle that inequality and how do you meet the challenges? Well, Thomas Piketty is an economist in France that suggested that one of the best ways to fix that idea of distribution of wealth is to just redistribute wealth. Provide a global tax. Take the money from the people that have it and provide it to the people that don't. And while that has some value to society in terms of potentially mitigating civil unrest and some of those kinds of pieces through there, I think one of the challenges we have to recognize is the idea that incentives do matter. If we are able to, if you and I worked at the same place and we were bringing in a wage of, say, $500 a day, if you were working hard and you were pushing and you were just sweating, you were, hustling, making things happen, and you got your $500, and I sat in a chair on the corner, or I held the broom and never really pushed it, I never hustled, and I got $500. The same pay, but you worked much, much harder than I did. How long would that happen until you kept on working hard? Or would you eventually begin to slow down and think to yourself, I'm not sure if it matters. Why am I working so hard if I'm getting the same pay as Chris? I think the incentivizing that we see in the capitalistic thought certainly has value to America, and I think it does in California agriculture as well. This is the second video for Chapter 1 I would encourage you guys to look over the PowerPoints and continue to do all the reading and make sure that you have a good understanding as we build our knowledge for our upcoming test in week number 4.